Book review: The Knight and the Moth, The Stonewater Kingdom, one by Rachel Gillig. Rachel Gillig's The Knight and the Moth, the first book in the Stonewater Kingdom series, emerges as haunting, evocative, and deeply lyrical fantasy romance that delves into grief, guilt, memory, and the fragile promise of healing. It is a novel that speaks in soft, mournful tones, laced with sharp edges of survival and quiet ferocity. Plot summary: in Rachel Gillig's lush and atmospheric The Knight and the Moth, readers are swept into gothic romantasy where prophecy and peril intertwine beneath the mist-drenched skies of Traum. This sweeping tale of fate, forbidden magic, and reluctant partnership begins in the somber halls of the Cathedral of Omens, where orphaned girls known as diviners serve 10-year penance in exchange for shelter and mystical gifts. Among them is Sybil Delling, young prophet, tormented by the weight of her power. For 9 long years, Sybil has received terrifying visions in her dreams, messages from 6 enigmatic figures known as the Omens, beings whose cryptic whispers reveal futures both grim and inevitable. Each vision comes at price, carving into Sybil's sense of isolation and dread. Her predictions are sought after by noblemen and peasants alike, yet she yearns only for silence and peace. As her decade of service nears its end, Sybil dares to dream of life beyond the cathedral. But fate has other plans. A mysterious arrival upends her fragile world. Roderick, a brooding, battle-scarred knight with a sardonic tongue and a reputation for heresy. He is a man of disbelief and defiance, unshaken by prophecy and irreverent toward gods. Where Sybil is bound by faith and duty, Roderick is shaped by doubt and experience. His presence is disruptive, dangerous, and inexplicably compelling. Tensions between the two spark immediately. Roderick challenges this of Sybil's visions, mocking the divine authority she represents. But when her fellow diviners begin disappearing without trace, Sybil is forced into an uneasy alliance with the very man who questions her core beliefs. As the unlikely pair set out into the wilds of Traum, Moreland Kingdom, as haunting as it is beautiful, they face supernatural threats, ancient curses, and deadly conspiracy tied to the gods themselves. The closer Sybil and Roderick get to the truth, she realizes her powers are part of much larger design, one that could unravel the very fabric of fate. Through perilous forests, ruined temples, and whispered legends, Sybil must confront the limits of prophecy and the burden of belief, with Roderick at her side, equal parts adversary and ally. She begins to uncover her own agency beyond divine instruction. In the process, an undeniable bond blooms between them, fierce and forbidden. But in a world ruled by gods who rarely answer prayers, what happens when the only person you can trust is the one destined to break you? Rich with gothical or witty banter and slow-burn romance, The Knight and the Moth is breathtaking beginning to the Stonewater Kingdom series. Gillig crafts tale that is equal parts lyrical and thrilling, exploring themes of faith, free will, and the intoxicating danger of love born from ruin. Fans of divine rivals from blood and ash and shadow and bone will find themselves utterly captivated. Only heretic can defeat God, and only love can rewrite fate. Kingdom drenched in grief and magic. From the outset, Gillig casts readers into a richly imagined world teetering on the edge of ruin. The kingdom of Stonewater is under withering curse. Its queen is dying, and with her the land and its people grow cold and brittle. In this landscape steeped in sorrow, 2 broken souls emerge, each carrying their own burdens of memory and pain. The world-building is immersive, though subtly drawn. Gillig chooses to reveal her world not through grand exposition, but through emotional resonance. Everything. The dying land, the silence of the castle, the flickering moths, is imbued with metaphor and meaning. This is not a story of sweeping battles or political intrigue, but of internal wars, of haunted nights and hesitant steps forward. The magical elements are woven gently into the setting, fragile, elusive, and beautiful, just like the book's namesake, The Moth. The Knight and the Moth, tale of 2 broken people. At the heart of the novel are 2 unforgettable characters. Sir Benedict Hawthorne, the titular knight, and Isolde, the mysterious woman known only as the Moth. Both are deeply scarred, both haunted, one by what he's done and the other by what's been done to her. Sir Benedict is a man who has tried to outrun his past by entombing himself in loyalty and silence. After a failed mission that led to great tragedy, he returns to Stonewater in disgrace, knight whose honor has been frayed. Yet Gillig doesn't write him as standard brooding male lead. Benedict is vulnerable, emotionally repressed, and almost spectral in his regret. He exists on the periphery of life until Isolde pulls him back into the world. Isolde, The moth is an enigma. She is found at the edge of the forest wearing wings and claiming to remember nothing. Her voice is poetic, her behavior ethereal, but her trauma is palpable. As the novel unfolds, Isolde becomes both literal and symbolic figure, a woman unraveling mystery about herself while also representing rebirth through vulnerability. Their relationship is exquisitely slow burn. There's no rushed romance here, no immediate passion, declarations of love. Instead, their bond forms through quiet conversations, shared silences, and the mutual understanding of pain. Every gesture matters. Every moment of eye contact is laden with longing and fear. Gillig shows an extraordinary talent for emotional pacing, allowing her characters to bloom gently and authentically. Themes: memory, guilt, and the long road to healing. One of the most resonant themes in The Night and the Moth is the fragility of memory and how it shapes identity. Isolde's amnesia is not just plot device. It's metaphor for trauma, for the way we bury pain too deep to reach. As she begins to recover fragments of her past, the question becomes not just who is she, but can she survive knowing who she was? In tandem, Benedict's guilt over the events that led to his disgrace and the kingdom's decline is reflection on self-forgiveness. Gillig resists easy answers. There is no magical moment of absolution. Redemption in this novel is hard-won and often incomplete. Gillig also weaves in symbolic imagery throughout the narrative. The moth, creature drawn to light and often seen as fragile, becomes recurring motif of resilience, of transformation. Isolde's wings, beautiful yet tattered, evoke both otherworldliness and the cost of survival. Grief pervades the novel. Every character, from the queen to the nameless guards, seems to carry heavy sorrow. Yet despite the melancholic tone, The Night and the Moth is ultimately hopeful. It posits that even the most damaged people can find solace, if not full healing, through connection. Prose that feels like poetry. Rachel Gillig's writing is triumph for style. Her prose is rich, flowing, and gorgeously atmospheric. Rather than describe emotions directly, she evokes them with poetic turns of phrase, metaphors drawn from nature, and sensory details that ground even the most ethereal moments in physicality. For example, her voice was made of dusk and memory. She did not speak often, but when she did, the air seemed to still. Even the trees were listening. This stylistic elegance might not appeal to readers looking for plot-driven narratives. The novel is quiet, introspective, and often slow. But for those who love emotionally immersive stories with literary prose, The Night and the Moth will feel like being wrapped in velvet shadow. Pacing and structure, gentle unfolding. The pacing of The Night and the Moth is deliberately languid. The first half of the book is almost meditative in its stillness, focusing on atmosphere and character study. While some may find this slow, it feels true to the novel's tone. Gillig is not interested in propelling the reader forward with cliffhangers or twists. Rather, she invites you to dwell in the moment, to linger in sorrow, and to slowly witness transformation. Said the latter third of the book does introduce greater tension and stakes, as secrets are revealed, and the characters must confront their past. The conclusion is emotionally resonant, tying together thematic threads with satisfying closure while leaving room for further exploration in the series. Supporting characters in the world beyond. While Benedict and Isolde take center stage, the supporting cast adds depth. The dying Queen Evangeline is tragic, ghost-like figure whose presence looms large, even in absence. The castle staff, guards, and few townspeople we encounter each carry small, poignant stories that enrich the tapestry of Stonewater. The kingdom itself, though only partially revealed in this installment, promises further expansion. Decision to focus tightly on one part of the world, the decaying palace and its bordering woods, feels intentional, enhancing the claustrophobic, fairytale-like atmosphere. Comparisons and genre placement. Fans of The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid, For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, and The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden will find similar enchantment here. Gillig's writing also evokes shades of Emily Tesh and Alexei Harrow, especially in her attention to nature, myth, and emotion. Unlike many fantasy novels heavy on politics, war, or adventure, The Night and the Moth leans toward gothic romantic fantasy, with emphasis on internal journeys rather than external quests. Inclusion, luminous, haunting start. The Night and the Moth is breathtaking exploration of sorrow, survival, and the fragile beginnings of hope. With lyrical prose, complex characters, and world that feels suspended in twilight, Rachel Gillig has crafted a novel that lingers long after the final page. It is story for those who have loved and lost, for those seeking beauty in brokenness, and for those who believe that even the faintest flutter of wings can change their round-number rating. 9.5 luminous, melancholic fantasy that will speak to readers who crave emotional depth, poetic prose, and slow-burning romance in a world where healing is the truest form of magic.